Welcome back to the OG Rivals podcast. I am your host, Myles here, the Packer fan on this podcast, and today I am not joined by a Bears fan. As y'all can see here, I got somebody different with me here. We have a Cowboys fan in the house, another one, and also a Badgers fan. So for the subscribers out there, I know there's a few of you that also love the Badgers, myself included, big Badger fan. So we're gonna get into it tonight. We got a lot of stuff we can jump into. The Super Bowl is over. Tom Brady retired in his underwear. Arian Foster's talking about everything scripted, and it's all out there, man. There's so much to get into. So I'm pumped, and joined by none other than G Fox, Garrie Fox. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. How are we doing? Thanks for having me, Myles. Appreciate it. We've been in discussions to get on here when the time presented itself, and that time is now. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. No, I'm pumped about this, man, because and I gotta give you a little context here, tell people who Garrie Fox is a little bit. Everybody's used to Miguel, and he's got some really good Bears takes, good Bears perspective. But Garrie, we got to play football together at UW Oshkosh, and I got to say, man, you're one of the better football minds that I have ever been around. And so that's why I'm kind of excited to dig into some of this stuff with you and get your perspective, especially on the Cowboys offseason, man. Y'all have a pivotal offseason in front of you here.
Yes.
And I got to see what you're thinking about this because we got some Cowboys homer takes coming. I know it's happening.
Yes, sir. I got you.
Yeah, yes, sir. But hey, first of all, we're going to jump off, take care of some business. This episode is always brought to you guys by Life Leaf Remedies, trying to help y'all feel better today. Check it out. Garrie's repping it. We have a special passion for trying to help y'all feel better today. We're making effective natural remedies for things like sleep, immune support, and any other areas that you're seeking relief in your life. Check us out at lifeleafremedies.com and see if there's anything you like. If there is, subscribe to it. Save yourself that shipping cost. Save yourself 10% off your order. And if you want to abuse the program, go ahead and cancel right away because we know you're going to love these products. They're really going to make you feel better today. They're going to bring you the relief you're looking for. You're going to come back and you're going to want to subscribe again. So please check us out, y'all. Again, lifeleafremedies.com and feel better today. And if you want to help us feel better today, the OGs out there, y'all can hit that like button, spike that like button, subscribe, jump in the comments, and get after it and tell us what you think about what's going on with the Packers, the Cowboys, the Bears, any of them, the Badgers. We're going to get into it. And as always, talk about us at your next tailgate, even though that next tailgate might be kind of far away because we're in this dead zone of the year.
Yeah.
It's back to this like we got to crawl across the Sahara Desert to get to the next football season. I hate this time of year.
It's hard.
And I think a lot of people do, man. It's just we got to wait. But this is also a starting line and maybe like a good jumping off point for me and you here, Garrie. We got the combine coming up and then closely followed by free agency and then closely followed by the draft. So we got a little team building period going through here. And I know there's plenty for us to get into with Rodgers. Watch. He's in his darkness retreat right now as we speak, probably shitting down his leg or something. But, man, what is going on in Frisco this offseason? What is Jerry up to? What is McCarthy up to? What do you think they're cooking up down there to get over this hump? Like, you got this hump, man. The Cowboys can't get over it. What do they got to do?
Well, from my perspective, I think the first hurdle that was passed over was renovating the coaching staff. Starts with the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. Me personally, I was never a fan. I remember him at Boise State playing quarterback. I knew they were gimmicky at times, and at times it got gimmicky on the field with the Cowboys, even though we had all the athletes to finish the drive, the to finish the possession, but it would get gimmicky all of a sudden and maybe be in 3rd and 19 because of a negative play. So I think that was the first hurdle they got over. And the second hump, the major hump of the offseason is going to be, what are they going to do with Pollard? What are they going to do with Zeke Elliott contractually? Because that'll set them up for next season and the future, next 3-4 years, because they have a very core young defense that's everyone knows where they're at. They got Micah, they got Diggs, they got some good athletes in the secondary as well that has performed at the end of the season. But getting those contracts underway and then kind of seeing what they can get weapon wise, free agency and in the draft. I mean, there's always athletes in the NFL. Every guy can make a play, explosive play. We saw that in the Super Bowl so many times and in the playoffs. So those are that's the major hurdle, to answer your question, that I'm seeing, is those contracts and then getting the right fits on the coaching staff because of the revamp that they did. From my perspective, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, and I got to ask you something, because I agree with you about the Kellen Moore thing, and my stance on this from the very beginning has been, if you're Dak Prescott, how are you going from beating a guy out for a position to that guy like being your boss and trying to make you better at that position? Like, that to me is the weirdest dynamic that I don't know how anybody ever expected that to work. Like, am I overplaying that? Like, how would you do that as a player? Would you be able to handle that?
No, I don't think that it was ever discussed. I don't think that was ever a thing. It was just like the elephant in the room. Like, you're you're not my subordinate, but you are athletically on the field. So like, when you're telling me I have to run this play, like, Dak was young when that all started and, came to fruition. But I mean, I think that was always the hiccup with their offensive mindset, whether it was with Garrett and then transitioning into our guy over here, McCarthy, taking over and keeping him on the staff. I think they needed a fresh start, like they did right away.
Yep.
Got done with the season, started the revamp, and kind of now just, that elephant's gone. So I beat you out, you lost to me, and now you're my offensive coordinator. No, that was never going to be a recipe for success, even though it was successful for, I don't want to say Cowboy standards, but from our past 15 years standards, in essence. You know me, I'm a realist when it comes to the Cowboys. I knew we weren't going to go deeper than we did in the playoffs. I knew we didn't have the team to, get us to the Super Bowl by any means, or the coaching staff. So, like, I'm a realist when it comes to the Cowboys, and that was one thing that I knew wasn't ever going to work, was him being offensive coordinator. There's so many other offensive minds in the NFL, 31 others for sure that I could speak to just to be honest. But that's just me.
Well, and that's the thing, and it's like, even if he has a bright mind, he's still just as much in this like rookie phase as an offensive coordinator whenever Dak's in this rookie phase as a quarterback. So those two learning at the same time, to me, is an injustice to Dak Prescott. Like, the guy needs somebody above him in that OC position that's like, okay, listen, man, I've seen some dudes win Pro Bowls or Super Bowls or All Pros or whatever. Here's how it's done. And instead he got a guy who's like also being mentored at the same time on how to call plays and design an offense. And it's just, for me from the start, I was like, I don't know how this is expected to go. And I'm kind of disappointed in McCarthy when he came in. He's supposed to be a little bit more in tune with coaching quarterbacks. How did he allow Kellen Moore to stay in that awkward position? But, hey, you're right. They moved on. They didn't pick another offensive coordinator, did they? Or is it just going to be McCarthy doubling down?
No, they got didn't they get Schottenheimer? Yeah, they got Schottenheimer.
That'll be interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I guess they had some connection prior to I could be totally wrong, but prior to him being the head coach of the Packers, they were in the same offensive wherever those two were at prior to that. So I'd have to look that up. But I think they have a past, and I think he even coached like Russell Wilson a couple years back as one of his old coordinators or something like that. So, kind of brought in an old mind, kind of a guy that's truly, understands this league and knows, has a system already established, isn't creating it on the week to week basis. He knows this defensive coordinator. I know I got this, recipe for success, which we see every week to week. You got this defensive system. I got these beaters. And that's what you got to do.
Exactly.
Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy in the Super Bowl. That's exactly what you saw. Into the third quarter, into the fourth. Adjustments, boom. Never saw that out of Kellen Moore. Yeah, it's his youth, but it's what you need to do in the league to be successful.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, experience does that, right? Like you get yourself in a tough situation, you lose, and losing teaches you, hey, next time here's how we're going to prepare for that, and here's what we're not going to do.
Right.
But when you're just, I don't know, Kellen Moore to me was just thrust in a position to constantly be behind.
Yep.
And that's not what the Cowboys needed. But yeah, so Schottenheimer will be good. That'll be interesting to see what Dak looks like next season compared to what he has looked like. Because, I remember in 2016 when he was a rookie and, they got to that division round of the playoffs and meet the Packers. I remember thinking after that game, even though the Packers pulled it out, I remember thinking because of Zeke and Dak, like, dang, Dallas has a scary future over the next few years. And it was like Dak just stayed there.
Yep.
He never really became more than that guy that he was in 2016.
I know.
But then you look at, like, a Jared Goff when he's got Jeff Fisher for his head coach as a rookie, and then he gets a Sean McVay, and he's like a different quarterback.
Right.
Still not great, but way better than what he was before.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that'll be interesting, man. And then the other one, you hit it, and this is interesting because, stats and data speak, but the running back room, man, when you have so much money dedicated to the running back room and you see the salaries that have been paid to the running backs on the winning Super Bowl team since 2009, and you're like, that's upside down, dude.
Yep.
It's totally upside down.
I know.
So is Zeke gone? Like, what are they doing here?
I'm hearing that and read that they're this is just little stuff. I don't do like the Twitter or anything like that, but I hear some things just online and stuff. I'm obviously avid sports listener, but it's they're going to take the combine like you talked about, this off season back to back NFL draft combine situation to see where his agents are going to see where he's coming at from a monetary perspective or value perspective. And if he's not worth anything to anyone, then they'll restructure his contract and hopefully stay a Cowboy. But I think the main thing is with Pollard. He is a weapon. He's a weapon that you can't get anywhere else because he can play both in the box interiorly, run it through the tackles, but they can also hit the edge and then also can catch out of the backfield. So he's a weapon, right? He's a weapon, especially with the right offensive mind to utilize that. So I think that's really where you have to play into his contract talks. Yeah, it hurts that he broke his ankle at the playoff game, but at the same time, I think you have to think about what he's provided you and what he's going to give you in terms of his contract. Because if you franchise him, then you're just setting yourself up to a huge contract to beat out all these competitive offers from other teams, or you're just commit and say, hey, we got to stay with him just so we don't get in a battle of him from a monetary perspective, and want to keep him because these next 2 years he's going to be doing better than he has before. So that's the only catch-22 of that all that I'm seeing, that our guy, still the GM, Jerry Jones, is going to have to decide. Don't even get me started on
old
that.
Jerry.
Don't get me started on
old
that.
Old Jerry. He's pushing the buttons over there in Jerry world still.
Still, and will always be, till death do us part, right?
Always. Oh, man. And then they're going to have his ashes up there, and he's going to be like in the corner of the room whispering to his kid, man. Like, oh, man. Jerry's going to be haunting Frisco for the rest of his days. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I know,
because the Cowboys have your first round pick, right?
Yep,
I'm pretty sure.
For sure,
full pocket of draft assets, I believe.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like a pretty interesting draft to me. Like, there's a lot of talent in this draft. I haven't dove into it too much.
Nope, not yet.
But there's definitely some players that I'm excited about. Now, I know you're a big fan of the college football game, man. Like, what running back coming out of college would you just love to see with that star in his helmet?
Right now, the good boy from Texas.
Ooh,
Bijan.
Robinson?
Yeah, Bijan.
Oh, yeah.
He's nice.
Oh, yeah.
He's nice. There's a couple other guys that I saw throughout the year that looked nice. But he's top.
You got a Michigan looks pretty good.
Yep. Who else we got? We got some other guys from like the SEC that'll always be solid. They have to, split carries because there's so much talent in the SEC. But, you got those guys that all of a sudden you're like, whoa, he played at Georgia for 3 years and we didn't hear about him. Like, no Heisman talks or no all-conference talks just because but he's going to be solid. So I'd have to dive in there more. I'm sure I'll see him more as the draft combine and we get the more of the spotlights on the offseason. But, yeah, the number one would be the Texas boy. That guy's nice.
He looks like a beast.
Yeah,
He's got like one of the best athletic scores that I think have come out of Texas in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know what year he is, but not this prior season, but the season before. He might have been a redshirt freshman or a true freshman or something like that. I saw him play one game. It might have been the against Oklahoma, but I saw him run and make some nasty cuts and some nasty moves, and he just looked like a younger running back that is capable of toting the rock 25, 30 times a game, which is, not very often you see that in the NFL now, right? But
not anymore.
He's capable.
No, that's not common anymore.
Right. He's capable of it. Plus, he has the athleticism in the hands to come out the backfield, which is big. And I think the main thing that all these running backs have an issue with is just the pass blocking difference between college where it's just spread and you got a linebacker or D lineman that's exhausted, that's running play for play because everything's no huddle and they're tired so they're not coming full go. But in the NFL you just see the difference. They have these safeties that are as big as them coming off the edge and they run them over and they're not ready for that pickup, or the center called this and he's like, oh, I missed that. That pickup. So that's really the adjustment that I think Pollard finally got better at this year. Going back to the Cowboys real quick, that Zeke was still the main guy because his pass pro, he was great at blocking. He got that from Ohio State into the beginning years of his tenure with the Cowboys. So that takes a few years for a lot of these running backs. So when you see all these, like you said, these strengths and weaknesses athletically, that's the main thing that offensive coordinator is like. If you can protect your quarterback on third down and third and plus yardage, then you'll be on the field for three downs. So those are things that I always look for when I look at these running backs moving from the college to the pro systems.
Yeah, man, and it seems like there's always like an Isaiah Pacheco out there too, like a guy who's going in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, but yet creeps his way into a starting role and just tears. Like, he just takes off and looks like a beast, man. And now Isaiah Pacheco as a rookie got a ring on his finger,
right?
But
I mean, he played.
That's Rutgers. Almost got to be the strategy,
right? Like we both, you and I both watched Big Ten football through the past decade, so it's not like we don't know. But I mean, Rutgers is new, but like I didn't know about him. I mean, he's been played at the Badgers. He's been to the Camp Randall plenty of times, but he ran a 4.3 at the combine. He got in the perfect system. Had a few injuries, and now he's starting in the Super Bowl his rookie year and won it.
And runs angry, man. The way he runs is just powerful.
I love how after he gets knocked down, every run he gets up and looks forward. It's like he has this I want more. Like he has that he has that youthful spirit to him, and it's hilarious. He kept doing that. And the only time he didn't do it is he got knocked pretty hard by Gardner Johnson.
He lost his air, dude.
He's like, I can't get
definitely got the air knocked out of him. I remember seeing that. He had the ball right there and just went right into that diaphragm, man.
That's the only time I ever see him not do that post run move. He was like, oh.
But he tried too. Yeah. He tried popping up, and he's like, oh man, that ain't happening.
No, not today. Yep. For sure.
Oh man, That's funny.
Hell yeah.
Oh, and those are the ones that I'm looking for, man. And Green Bay's got a similar situation. You got to make a decision with Aaron Jones. How important is he to this team? And locker room chemistry is part of it. And I would say that when it comes to chemistry, guys, Aaron Jones is one of the most important in that locker room.
Right.
But at the same time, when you see that stat that, I think it was the highest paid running back since 2009 to win the Super Bowl was making $2 million a year or something like that, 2.5 maybe. So it's how do you justify paying a guy 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12? You know, how do you do that?
And you got Dylan. He's still on his rookie contract, right?
Right.
So that's
right. He's a beast.
He's improved. He's improved in his pass catching. He's great at pass, but like we talked about, pass pro for blocking. Especially with how, Rodgers runs things, and his is very intricate and, very, it's not simple how he does it, especially with his offense.
You got to keep up.
Yeah, so, he's picked up on that. So, those are type of things where you got, weigh your options, and the recipe for success is not double figures in the millions for running backs, like
old Jerry.
Yeah, right? But, I mean, you know what I mean? Those are the decisions when you have those 1-2 punches in running backs. It's not like it used to be where you had, the back when remember when Ron Dane and Josh Jacobs played together, they were Thunder and Lightning or whatever, or Tiki Barber too, when they both were together. That's not a thing anymore in the NFL because it's so pass heavy. You can't just come in and have 2 running backs taking up that much of your salary when you have to pay so many other positions and athletes. So yeah, Packers for sure have a dilemma on their hands too with those two, and I don't think they. I mean,
oh yeah,
this is your guys' podcast talking about the Bears and the Packers. I don't think they utilized those two well enough this year.
Oh, not at all.
Offensively,
they were criminally underused, and that's my biggest criticism of Rodgers. People want to say, that, he had a broken thumb. There's some apologists that, he's still, one of the greatest QBs we've ever had, all this and that. And I'm like, no, y'all, look, the quarterback position does not, it's obviously goes through the arm, right?
Yeah.
You can't be a good quarterback with a bad arm, but you can be a great arm and a terrible quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's what, people don't put this together. As soon as you start making bad decisions, you go from great to terrible really fast. Yep. And you may still have the ability to throw the best throw you've ever thrown, but if you're deciding not to, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
You're not bringing that ability on the field. And to me, that's what happened with Aaron Rodgers this last season is whatever he was doing the last 2 seasons when he won an MVP, he stopped doing that this year. Right. And everybody can say it's because of Devontae Adams, and I'm sure that has something to do with it because he's so used to having that guy in his system. But at the same time, when you can watch these games and you can get the all 22 view and see where the receivers are going and what's happening with the concepts, and you can see him deciding to look away from a guy that he should be anticipating to be open, it's what are you doing, man? Yeah. Why are you doing that? Why are you making that decision?
Yep.
Or when you have, you talk about the positions going into this season, obviously the storyline was the receiver group and being young and inexperienced, and he doesn't have Devontae anymore. Well, you had 2 of the best running backs in the league. Yep. So why aren't you leaning on them when you're in London and you've got 2 plays to get 2 yards and you throw into the D-line twice? What the hell, man? That's terrible decision making. And that's where I was like, Jordan Love would play better than that. Yeah. And people hate hearing that. People get all pissed about hearing that. Yeah. I'm like, the thing is Jordan Love doesn't have to be a Hall of Fame quarterback in that situation to say, hey, I need to get 2 yards. I've got a 250-pound monster next to me with quads that'll fall forward for 3 yards.
Right.
I'm going to try that first.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's where I think that where they're at now, a lot depends on where Rodgers is going, obviously. Again, darkness retreat. Maybe we just talk about that for a minute.
Right.
But, when he comes out of that, I'm pulling for him to want to be traded. I think he wants to go play with Devontae personally. I think the Packers will happily accommodate that. But I want to see Jordan Love just run LaFleur's system.
Mm-hmm.
Don't arm wrestle the man on every call.
Right.
Like, what does it look like when you take those pieces that you have? Inexperience, sure, but you got wheels out there with Christian Watson, and you got a dude who looks like he can make all the catches in Romeo Dobbs. And then you've, again, with the running backs, like all of these pieces, man, when they were running that offense at its peak, and you had Christian Watson running a jet motion that was holding 4 defenders, Aaron Jones can run for 10 yards a carry, and it's like taking candy from a baby. But you can't arm wrestle the play caller and have that rhythm work. You and I kind of experienced that, man. And whenever, early on at Oshkosh, when you got 2 quarterbacks, you're not sure who it's going to be. You're calling the offense differently for each one, kind of. And the saying is, if you got 2, you don't have 1, right?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what it felt like here is, you've got all these players who are supposed to be something and just kind of fighting each other and not really like being anything what they're supposed to be. It was such a, I hated this last season. If I could just like put it in one sentence, I hated this season. It was terrible. But I really am rooting for them to move forward, because when you see LaFleur's offense work, dude, it works. And that's where I'm at with it. So yeah, you're right though. They got a lot of decisions to make. I'm kind of pulling for him to, put the decision making back in Goot's hands. He's proven to be a pretty smart GM, but let him reload guys every year. Put a couple guys on the O-line in the draft every year. Get one of those guys who's coming out at running back in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round, and keep that competition coming through. If there's one thing that you can say about Ted Thompson, he didn't do that. He didn't keep restocking that talent. So that's what I'm hoping for this offseason, man. Just like see that talent keep coming in, see them move forward, hopefully get a king's ransom for Rodgers. There's a desperate GM out there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You know there is.
Oh, yeah. 1,000%.
But, yeah, it's going to be crazy, man. I feel kind of like the Packers and the Cowboys both have very optimistic defenses. A lot of room for optimism on the defenses, and then all these question marks on offense about what your identity is. So it'll be an interesting offseason, man. Dude, all right, so open it all up. Who's one player, whether it's draft prospect or free agent or guy you're going to trade for, that you just got to pluck away and put him on the Cowboys? Fan perspective. Who you got to have?
Ooh. Oh, man, that's kind of hard. I haven't thought about that one. Who would I personally like to have?
Absolutely. Yeah,
let's see here. Let's go. I think we need I don't know who's out there and available. But you said I can trade for it? Do anything?
Yeah,
I can just
somebody could
throw
trade
all
for
the money
it.
out there?
Just somebody like, I'm going to get that guy.
We need like a DN Nick Bosa, like true DN Micah. If we need, or D tackle. I keep telling people all this all the time.
Guy.
Yeah, these teams that have these elite, game changing, possession changing DNs, D tackles, they are successful. That's the recipe for success. We see it in the SEC,
True.
college, bringing back to college, but it flows into the NFL. Like these D tackles that are able to change games, it takes 2.5, 3 offensive linemen to block them, or if they get blocked 1-on-1. Like Chris Jones, like he destroyed the Cincinnati Bengals. That's why the Cincinnati Bengals did not get to the Super Bowl again. They got him in 1-on-1 matches. Great job by the defense coordinator. Thank God we still got Dan Quinn. Don't know how that happened, but I forgot to say Forgot to say that earlier. But if we can get like an elite Chris Jones type D tackle, maybe like a younger, like I know Micah the other day just wanted Payne. He's on the Washington Redskins. He played
Deron Payne.
He played at was he Alabama boy or Georgia boy? One of the two.
So,
yeah, he's SEC for sure.
He's Alabama.
Yeah, one of those guys who can just destroy the interior of the offensive line and just allow Micah just free flow. And then obviously on third down, we'll bring him back down to the edge rusher to go get the guy. But so he can truly play linebacker and not, I think that's what took the toll on him all season long was constantly going against 325, 350-pound offensive linemen, and he's not that big. Like, he's a fast and strong dude, but he's not that big for from a defensive lineman perspective. So he said this halfway through the season, like, he just like dropped down because he was tired, he was sore, I'm not used to getting hit every possession by a huge human being. So I think we need somebody to take that role from a ongoing basis and just get an elite defensive tackle. I don't think we haven't had one ever. I mean, the last one we can all speak to.
It's been a long time.
It's like DeMarcus Ware, but he wasn't even at that elite from a. I mean, he was impactful. He had great sacks and timing sacks, but
DeMarcus Ware was edge. Are you thinking about Marcus Spears?
Well, Marcus Spears wasn't. No, I was D tackle or D lineman that can. I mean, I would take like a Nick Bosa for sure.
Right.
But from my perspective, I don't think we've ever had like a solid defensive tackle, 3 technique.
Like that Aaron Donald.
Yeah,
that dude.
Exactly. That's who I. Yes, that's who I take. That's who I take right there.
Yeah, you just go pluck him out.
Yes, give me him. Don't retire, big fella. We'll get you a ring once you come to the Cowboys because you will be a game wrecker. You are a possession wrecker every snap. So yes, every team wishes for one of those. Yeah, that's who I think the Cowboys need from a whole team perspective, because then they don't have to wait on Micah to recover. Then it could be explosive. Just a guy that just does it every down is able to do it every possession. So yeah, that's mine.
And I got to give DFW Sports Radio their due on that, because they have been shouting that for years, man. They have been calling for that, where you're looking at these guys coming out of the draft, like, could we draft this guy in the first round? And they're going, they'll never do it. Yeah. They never drafted D tackle in the first round. No. They don't do it. There was, for years, and this guy, Bo Allen, was one of the best defensive tackles the Cowboys had. Who was, he was a good Badger. He's a good NFL D tackle, but he's not an Aaron Donald. No. He's not like that dude who's just wrecking the middle. He was holding it down.
Right.
But, yeah, it's weird that they don't prioritize that position. I wonder if that's a Jerry thing. That, like, when Steven takes over, maybe that goes away and Steven will prioritize that position. But
it's kind of weird.
I agree with you, man.
It's kind of weird because they prioritize linemen. I mean, especially they solidified Martin, one of the best guards in the whole entire NFL. And that helps.
Well, and how many years did they have a first-round pick on the offensive line? Yeah. It was just like one after the other.
So I mean, like, if you reach out, I mean, SEC football from the college perspective has those guys churning them through, so you can go to your Georgia. I'm sure Georgia has a guy that's coming to the draft. He's like one of the top 5.
He's top 5.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
He's huge.
Yeah, I know.
Something Carter. Yeah, I think is it Jalen Carter?
Yeah, number 99. Yeah, that's him. Yep.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He's huge, man.
I know they don't have the top 5 pick, but, like, those are the guys you got to go get or try to get. Or, like I said, like the Paynes, like the guys that got drafted, those top 10 didn't work out, or they're coming up for contract. You can get them out coming off their rookie deal and just, sign them up. They still are talented. They just were on the terrible team because they were the top 5 draft pick, right?
Right.
4 years ago. So, yeah, we definitely need to solidify that. I mean, the guys that we have are good because they're flexible, they're nimble, they're quick, but you need a guy that can just hold up. Like, if Travis Kelce comes and blocks you, you should be able to – it should take 2 to block you, in essence.
Right.
Right. And if it's a one-on-one battle, like with Chris Jones in the AFC Championship game, he's destroying that one-on-one matchup every time he gets it. So – well, and even if you've got a guy drawing a double team like that, and then you have Micah Parsons, I was about to say Micah Hyde, Micah Parsons coming off of that, like, dang, man, that's so hard to defend. Exactly.
Where they can tee off on Parsons right now. You got D-Law on the other side, but he's still, like, he's on the later half of his career, and Parsons is definitely the bigger threat. So, yeah, it's easy to tee off on him, and he's still showing he can fight through that and make plays, but not like late in the game, late in the season when you need him to. He's gassed.
Yep.
No, I'm with you, man. I'd like to see it. I mean, you know me, like we go at it a little bit, but I mean, I'm a hometown fan here. I would not, be unhappy to see the Cowboys being good
Right.
again. Like, I think it'd be cool to see that energy come back here to this town. But man, I don't like Jerry Jones. Like, I'd rather see it happen when Steven gets control.
See, I like Jerry. I mean, I've never been against it. I just wish he got rid of that title, man, that GM title. The second
That's what bothers me.
I know.
He's a brilliant businessman, and he
Great
admitted
owner.
he would fire himself, but he's not gonna.
Right. I know. He's his worst enemy, and it's just like you gotta. At some point, you gotta just be like, okay, I did it. I got those Super Bowls under my belt, but like now it's just time to just give up the reins in that little capacity. You're still the owner, bro. You're still the owner, my man.
Be Bob Kraft.
Yeah.
Bob Kraft's doing great.
Yeah. Think about the Kansas City owner. That guy,
they're doing great.
That guy knows nothing about football. He couldn't care if he was a general manager or not, but he's raising that Lombardi every few years. Yeah, he got his wife and his little daughter, out here on the stage on Fox. You know what I'm saying? Like, like that's what Jerry Jones should be doing. I'm sure his wife would like to be sitting on stage too at some point.
It's been 30 years, man. Almost.
God damn.
Might as well be 30 years.
Man.
Get it back up there.
Been too long.
He says if there was a check he could write, he would do it. But he knows the one move that he has the power to make, he won't do it.
Right.
And that's the thing that gets me. I'm like, Jerry, I'm not buying it. Dude. Like, you've got the power to do this. Do it.
You can pay for the best GM in the world. You know what I mean? Like, you can be the highest paid GM in the world. There's no salary cap on that, bro.
Retire your GM role and lure Bill Belichick down here. You could do it.
Yeah.
You're Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
You're the best businessman in the league. Get that guy down here and let him do the work.
Yes.
You'll be just fine.
Exactly.
Oh, man, it'll never happen.
I guess, Myles, have you on this podcast? Have you ever talked about why you're a Packer fan?
Only a couple of times.
Oh, okay.
Only a couple times. It's actually, this is a good time to revisit that, man, because you being on here, being the big Badger fan that you are, this picture here, I got my grandfather here is
yes, sir.
in the Packer Hall of Fame.
Yes,
Sir
sir.
Darryl Teddick right here.
Darryl, my guy.
Linebacker.
Yes, sir.
Back and what's cool about this? They're wearing those 50s jerseys.
Yep.
We've had 2 years now of the 50s throwbacks. And the guy that he is tackling in this picture is at this time a New York Giant, Alan Amici,
a Badger,
former teammate,
yes, sir,
of Darryl Teddick at Wisconsin.
Yes.
So love this picture. But yeah, big Packer fan because my grandfather's in the Packer Hall of Fame and just been engulfed in this whole cheesehead way of life my whole life, man. Never given a choice, and I love it.
Yep.
Wouldn't trade it for the world, man.
Nope.
Had a couple good years up there in Wisconsin with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That Wisconsin life for a few years. Yep. Truly invested in it. Yep. For sure. I know. I didn't know.
What about you, man?
Oh, I didn't know if you had talked about it, but I knew the history. Obviously, I wanted your viewers to know that for sure.
Course. No, it's always we always got to revisit it. We never know who's listening for the first time. But your Badger roots go pretty deep, man. What about your Badger fandom there?
Oh man, Badgers are my team. If you ask me any sporting event, where would I want to be? I would want to be Saturday at 11 a.m. at Camp Randall Stadium.
Ooh.
I will take that anytime, any day, all the time. Ooh. Badger Saturdays are my favorite.
That's a special vibe.
Yes, it's one of one for sure. But yeah, no, I literally grew up in that stadium, Camp Randall Stadium, since I was 4.5, going on 5 years old. My dad started for the athletic department, working his way up in the facilities, and then now he's the director of all the athletic facilities within the athletic department. So literally, before their current renovations, I was skateboarding in the back alleyways of Camp Randall, where you can see the old concrete of the wartime bricks and mortars and those type of things. Running the hills like the other players. When Ron Dane was there, I saw him working out. Jamar Fletcher, Chris Chambers. Got to know all those guys personally because I was just the little dude that was always in the facilities after school. So no, man,
Love
this comes back since '95 all the way to 2023. And then all the my dad being on the facilities, seeing all the renovations that they've gone through to be a multi-million-dollar establishment and growing and expanding more and more. So no, yeah, that's why I bleed Badger Red always.
Hell yeah, man. Love that. And all right, so I know that you know, like you said, you grew up in those facilities with your dad doing the work that he did, and round of applause for him, dude, for the facilities that they're pulling together right now. They're absolutely beautiful. Cannot wait to see.
Yeah, you got to get up here, man.
The finished result.
You got to get up here.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see it all. Oh, 100%, man. But I got to ask you, so like crawling around Camp Randall's historic facility all those years, man, who was your favorite interaction that you got to meet and, maybe like play catch with or just get to chop it up with?
I'd probably say got to know back when, I don't know if you guys remember the Scotty Fletcher days. And it's kind of, who else was on those teams? Who was the quarterback at that time? It was Post Bollinger. It was so Scotty Fletcher, Scott Fletcher, Scotty Starks. I apologize. Scotty Starks.
Okay.
Starks. I meant they both were number 2. Scott Starks. Scotty Starks. He was like Jim Leonard era. Those guys were super down to earth guys, and like I was old enough to actually have these conversations with these college guys at this time. I was probably middle school versus like when it was Ron Day and I was 95, 96. I was 6, 7. We were 6, 7 years old, right? So we were having in-depth conversations. But these guys got to get to know them. They worked for my dad in the summer times. Just because they stayed on campus, they worked. Did the facility maintenance and stuff like that. They ended up coming to our local church here in Madison, so I got to see them on Sundays as well as all week long. So those guys, that was one good guy I got to know personally. And then like Jim Leonard, great guy.
Of course.
My mom was a huge fan of his, so my mom also worked for the university academics. So she would see these guys walking on campus all the time. And she got to know them. They would all know her as the big Badger fan lady that's on campus yelling out their names, calling them out because when they have their pads off, we all know football players. They're kind of they look different than when they have their pads on and on the field. But she would point them out, yell out their name in the middle of the campus. So all from basketball, men's and women's. Men's and women's basketball, football, hockey. She would call all those people out. So Jim Leonard, he was a great guy. That was kind of the era and the guys that I really got to know and get to meet. And still to this day, if I see them, I'll be like, "What up, man?" They're like, "Oh man, you little dude from your dad used to," like they'll remember me to this day. So that's kind of the era where when Badgers were still on top. Barry Alvarez, end of his tenure into the Brett Bielema era was kind of where that all came to fruition. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that, hitting a few Rose Bowls there, man.
Yeah.
That was that was a good time,
right? Absolutely.
Very good time in Badger history.
Hell yeah.
No, man, that's cool, and that's Miguel and I try to emphasize it's a fan podcast, right? Like everybody's got different fan stories, and your history with the Badgers, man, I think it's just too cool and. It's such a historic and cool program, and to almost be part of that, that's special, man. And if you haven't experienced the Saturday vibe at Camp Randall, I don't care who your team is, like you got to go there. You got to go. You got to hit up. What is it before the game? Where are we going before the game?
I mean, we got options, right? It changes week to week.
We got options. That's why I was like, where are we going? Where are we taking somebody?
Who's the local friend that's coming into town or hasn't been in town for a while that they have in a tailgate? Obviously, I always promote this. Day before on Friday, always go to Mickey's Dairy Bar. Myles, I know you remember Mickey's Dairy Bar. Don't go there on a Badger Saturday. It's way too packed out. But Friday morning,
you'll never get in.
Friday morning, get you a full lunch and breakfast in one meal. from Mickey's. Oh. Then you'll be set for Badger Saturdays because 11 o'clocks come very early.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
My fiance, when her and I first started dating, she would be like, we have to get up and get down there by like 8:30 and start consuming by then. I'm like, yep. You're born into this, or you figure it out, right? So I was born. I was born into this, so it's just part of my routine. My mom's calling, hey, we're heading down. Tailgate starting at 8:30. I'm like, bet. So say no more. So, but then you got all the places on Regent Street, right next to Camp Randall. You got your Red Zones, you got your Luckies, you got all the bars, you got all the friends and families tailgates that you can bop around to. They probably got some good food cooking up for you, and then you make maybe one more stop to the bar, and then head to the game by kickoff. So get in there and start going. But yeah, the surrounding is all the college kids mixed with the adults and the families. Oh yeah, and even as a little toddler, when I was playing Pee Wee football, I'd have a football game on Saturday morning at 8:00. Then have to get to the game by 11 o'clock for the Badger game. But even in between there, we had time to throw the ball with the college kids. They'd be, very washed up in their sauce, drinking since 8 a.m. and they still be throwing the balls to you, running routes in the middle of the street next to the cars parked. Yes, it's just you see that all. It's like system overload when you're down in the Badgers because there's so much going on. In this little town of 250,000 people, it's like crazy. And like, that's what it is. What a lot of people don't understand is like the volume of people that from out of town that come in. It's like, that's what my dad does. Like my dad has to coordinate with the Wisconsin Patrol, State Patrol, the fire, the police, has to coordinate for over 1 million people coming into our little town for one Saturday afternoon, right? And the Camp Randall itself holds nearly 90,000 that actually can go into the game. So it's like, it's an event. It's not just like, we've all gone to the NFL stadiums and stuff like that, but when you have a college that's also there in this little town, it's just like one of the best recipes. I know you, Myles, you've experienced it, but yeah, like you said, if anybody wants to witness it, we can show you.
The whole town, dude, and this is obviously half of a Packer podcast, so I'm over here like Lambeau Field is a pretty special experience too, but it's special in a different way. Like the entire town of Madison just erupts on Saturdays, and it's just red everywhere. People fill in the streets. It is wild. I know. And like you're saying, some of these students have been going hard. They didn't even go to bed, man. They just closed down the bar and kept it going. And now the sun's coming up. Well, here we go.
Yes, sir.
People are always wondering, why aren't the students in there in the first quarter? Man, they're moving a little slow. Yes. Some have been awake for a while.
Yeah. 11 o'clock's early on a Saturday, man.
Yeah. And this is one thing that I don't know. I don't think this exists in other college towns. Y'all call me out if I'm wrong, but there's like a coordinated nap time after games too. Oh, yeah. Where the town kind of like shuts down for about an hour or two, and then it erupts again.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Especially on those 11 o'clock.
That's crazy.
You have to make a decision. This is what you always are told. Like, you got to make a decision after that 11 o'clock game that gets down around like 2-ish, 2:30. Are you going to just keep going? You're going to rally? Or are you going to stop and take a nap from 2:30 till 5 and then start getting after it for the nighttime? Or are you going to go until the nighttime and be a zombie by the end of the day? Your Saturday, that's
like an early out.
Yeah, like 8 o'clock. You're like, all right, bro, I've been doing this since 8 o'clock. It's 12 hours later. Why am I up still drinking or getting after it? So yeah, there's a decision right there at 2:30. You got to either commit for the remainder of the day / evening, or go take that nap, like you said. And the nap, in our older years, it's always a nap that I'm going for nowadays.
Get the nap.
Yeah, I've done one too many of those.
Pace, not race.
Yeah, there was a lot of racing back in the day, for sure.
Hit that gas, man. We're gonna keep going
all day. And then we're like, whoa, what the heck did I commit to? Yep.
Oh man, for real. And we've seen some classics too, man. I will never forget that matchup against Ohio State, and that was, I think, for my birthday in October of 2015. Man, we went with Anthony Miller.
Yep.
Shout out, brother.
Yep.
Gosh, goes into overtime. That was such an incredible game.
Should've won that
and
game.
Just the same way that Madison gets turned up, dude, the air was deflated from that town after that game.
And then the rain came.
And it was just pouring rain, too, so that sucked, but that was terrible. But, yeah, man, that was just a classic. And leading up to that was basically what we just described, right? Like, we got going, we got after it. It wasn't an 11 a.m. game, but I feel like we were out there at around 11.
Well,
like, we were going all day.
You went to game day. You got up and went to game day.
That's right. Sean and I went to game day. Yeah, that's right.
I knew it was going to be a long day, so I said, I can't make it up that early for game day. Game day started way too early, right? So I'm like, I made that decision. Like, you guys are going. All right, I'll wait. We'll get the food, get the drinks prepared for tailgating. You guys went down there, and then I knew that game was going to be a long one. And man, like you said. Badger games, our fans are the best, but when we lose, our balloon gets deflated quickly, the vibe is totally different. You think like somebody just came through town and just like told everyone curfew. It's just like, what the heck?
It's just life gone. People are like, you want a beer? You're like, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
No, it's a different mood for sure. Oh man, but yeah, that was a great game.
I don't want to get us too low here because Madison is a poppin' town. Like on game days, it really is 101, like you said. And then if you can pull it off, you got to pull off the back-to-back, and you find the right weekend, and you hit a Badger game on Saturday, and you hit a Packer game on Sunday.
That's a mission.
And you're saying, man. You know, that noon game, if it's a noon game for the Packers, man, that comes around quick.
Oh, I bet.
You got a rebound. And, you know, what's funny, and we get listeners from all over now. Being in Texas, you can't buy alcohol before noon on Sundays. You can only buy beer at all. You can't buy liquor on Sundays.
What?
And so when I got up there to Oshkosh and we're going to a game, and it was like 7 in the morning or something, and we go into, what was it? Was it Pick and Save?
Pick and Save is wide open. That liquor store is wide open.
It's Sunday morning, 7 a.m. Like, yep, here we go, boys.
Yep.
Have fun.
That case is in the cart for sure.
Oh yeah, man. Oh gosh, dude. The culture is so different, and you have to experience it because it's electric.
Yeah.
Like, people are just getting so turned up for their team, and that's got to be one of the most fun vibes you can experience in fandom at all. I mean, it's up there with like music festivals. You know, like it's just different.
Yeah, you didn't do that 2015. You didn't do a Packer back-to-back with the Badger game, did you?
I believe we did.
Yeah, damn. I don't know.
I believe we did, and actually, I think you're wrapping this back around to be relevant to this podcast. Maybe not on purpose. So we did, and Beth and I went up to the Packer game the next day after the Badgers lost to Ohio State in the most painful fashion, and we watched the Cowboys play against the Packers at Lambeau Field and absolutely embarrass Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah, wasn't that Zeke and Dak's first year? That was their rookie year. Yep. I remember that now that you say that. Yeah.
They went up there, and Aaron Rodgers looked like he had no idea what he was doing. There was one interception he threw. He stared at the DB and threw it to him. And Beth she looked at, she's like, did he mean to do that? I was like, I guess, must have. I mean, he was making eye contact with the guy. Right. It was just so ugly, man. So that was a particularly brutal weekend of football for me.
Yeah.
But, still, though, like, leading up to the games is the majority of the fun anyway. Right. Afterwards, you can celebrate a win, and the energy's cool. It's probably a lot more fun celebrating a Badger win than a Packer win, because after a Packer win, regardless, it's like everybody's kind of winding down. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, that was still, like, the tailgating from that weekend was epic, man. Like, we had so much fun. I remember going, we went to a couple house parties in Madison before the Badger game. We were playing some tits.
Yep.
We were playing beer pong.
Yep.
We were hitting all of them, man. Hitting all those drinking games. And if you don't know what tits is, then you're missing out. I'm not even going to explain it to you.
Great game.
It's a great game. Go to Madison on game day. You'll find out. But yeah, and then going straight up to Lambeau to tailgate the next day. I mean, if you're a football fan, like, that is one of the best experiences you can ask for. It really is. So no, man, we had some good fun there. But yeah, man, as far as like getting back into the NFL and talking a little bit about that, I got to get your thoughts, man, because I know you don't necessarily, hit like all the headlines. You're not like on Twitter looking for the next update. You kind of catch your news a little bit casually. Are you aware of Aaron Rodgers and the darkness retreat right now? Do you know what's going on there?
I saw he was going to go in some type of isolation for hours or days or something, week. I don't know what it was, but I think
it's like 4 days.
Yeah, and just like have like a epiphany or something. Yeah, that's the gist of it for me.
Yeah.
It's Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we've seen his interviews, we've seen his off the field encounters. So it's fitting. Is what it is. I guess I mean, I can do the same thing on the toilet. You know what I mean? Like, I can think about stuff, right? You know what I mean? Like, come on, like, you don't have to make a big deal about it. I can have these aha moments at any place and like make a big deal. I'm going to go into the isolation, right?
I knew you'd have some reality for him, man. Look, you know me. I have been a huge Aaron Rodgers apologist for a long time, and I'm done, man. I'm so done. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. I got nothing for you. Like, why has a guy got to go into a darkness retreat for this? Like, just think about it, man. Right. Talk to some people. See what you think.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Go fishing or camping or something.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yes. I can get my meditation. I can go outside of my back patio, smoke a cigar, and I'll be very well know where I'm going, like what I want to do next week, tomorrow, and the next year. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, it's a way. It's obviously, a way to people think like after he comes out of this, the decision will be made if he'll retire or not, or if he wants to, continue and ask for a trade. So I guess it's just giving his team and Packer fan nation a time frame.
Yeah, kind of.
So that's helpful.
I mean, he did say he wasn't going to draw it out. Right. I respect that.
Right, which is nice, I guess. Yeah. So, but I mean, making a big deal about it. You're talented. Any team would want you. It's just if you want to play or not. Like with Jordan, like, did he want to continue to go play 82 games a year? Just like, does he want to go play 18 full football games next season or beyond?
It's a lot.
So like that's what it comes down to in my eyes. Like, all the greats know they are still great, but do they want to commit to it? Like we saw with Tom Brady,
right?
And those type of things. But I mean, you spoke to it earlier. I know you said that you rather move on to Jordan Love, but I mean, I think he has a lot in the tank still, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt he does.
Like that man.
But that's my thing. Is it like we were saying before? I mean, even in the season, you saw it. He made some spectacular throws this season, but he also threw 3 interceptions against the Lions and lost.
Right,
man. I can have Jordan Love throw 3 interceptions against the Lions and lose for a lot less money. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the part that bothers me, but I think it's more of a mental thing for him. He clearly,
exactly
lost what he was comfortable with, and he performed differently. So if he went somewhere else, be it the Raiders or wherever, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up back in, a championship game, whether it's a conference championship or the Super Bowl. He's still super talented.
Right.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see, man.
We'll
see.
Wait, did it start?
I
Did the 4 days start?
Yeah, I think it started today.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, we'll see.
I think it started today.
Yeah, Saturday or Sunday, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll see if he like tweets his way out of it or something.
Right.
I don't know, man. Like I just start thinking about things like, all right, how you gonna wipe your ass? You can't see anything. You know, like, what are you eating in there? What are you doing? Like,
yeah, what did you bring to prepare for this 4-day excursion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens if you're like, hey man, after one day, like,
you're like, forget
you
this.
know, I figured it out.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah. What are you doing for the next 4 days? Yeah, 3 days, you're just like losing your eyesight. I can't. No light in the situation. I don't know.
I started just trying to think about it. I'm like, you know, there's a lot of things out there that I hear. I'm like, maybe I'll try that. You know, ice baths are a hot thing right now.
Yeah.
Try an ice bath. I like ice baths.
I've seen that. Yeah.
I just don't. I'm not ready to try a darkness retreat, man. I'm good.
Oh man.
Oh shoot. No, but so it's dude. The NFL is kind of a wacky world. You mentioned Tom Brady, dude. So Tom Brady says he's retiring, then he comes back, divorces his wife, tears apart his family, just to come back for one more disappointing season. There had to be problems there before, right? Like, that wasn't just like, I'm going to tear up my family so I can play one more season. You think that's all that was?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was, he truly was committed to it, but also there were some marital issues at the same time, which is why he wanted to rely on what he's relied on for the past however many years, 20 plus years he's been playing.
That makes
something
sense.
He's
Maybe
secure.
Things got a little rocky, and he's like, "No, fuck it, I'm going back to football."
Right. That was a safe space. So he'd spend so many hours on that 20 might. I mean, but the thing that was weird about all that is that that week and a half during training camp or 2 weeks when like the whole like filing for divorce happened, like whatever.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of weird because usually once training camp starts, you're like fully vested. I'm done. I'm here until least January, late December, January, or if I make it to the Super Bowl, February. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I think it was like a little bit of both, like I said, because, as athletes, it's something you just rely on. I mean, I remember even when we got done playing at Oshkosh, like my comfort space was like just going and working out, like doing the same workouts. I'm like, but then at some point I was like, why am I still trying to squat like I used to squat? Like, I don't need to be doing that anymore. But it's just like, I'm comfortable with it. It's a routine thing.
Yep.
I mean, I don't get up at 5 a.m. to lift by any means. That is a choice I will never do. But you know what I mean? Like going back to that same space, that same place that, you've been doing for the past umpteen years of your life, I think is just like one thing of consistency that you can rely on. Just
that makes sense.
Just from an athletic standpoint, I think that athlete standpoint, that's where he's probably coming from, and that's why it was hard to really give up when he truly, still I think wanted to play and compete. It's that competitive nature that you can never lose. I mean, he's still going to be competing off the field, golf or whatever. Those competitive people will always find a way to still compete. So he said, hey, I still got the opportunity to in the NFL. Why not stay at it? Right. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, and the thing that was disappointing to me is it's like, all right, man, well, if you've already got your family torn apart, don't retire now. Like, keep going.
Right. Yeah.
I want to see him keep playing.
I didn't think he was going to retire. The second,
I didn't think so.
I think he, especially how many times he threw and how many yards he threw for this year. It didn't work out from a team standpoint, but I think he still can tote the rock. I think it would have to be the perfect situation. But I think there are situations out there in the NFL that he could take advantage of.
Oh, I think it's still the right hole opens up, man. I think you still might see another Tom Brady snap.
Right.
Come training camp, somebody gets injured, or
exactly.
Whatever it may be. We still might see it, but no, man, it's been an interesting offseason so far, and really, even like I said before, since we recorded the last episode, like right after we recorded, it was when Tom Brady announced his retirement, and then the next day, Arian Foster drops his nuke of a piece of information on the sports world and admits that the entire thing is scripted. So, dude, if the entire thing is scripted, what is your least favorite script about the NFL? Like, what just pisses you off the most that was the script for it?
Oh, man. I mean, I didn't really listen to Arian Foster's whole thing about it, but I've heard, like, a couple guys, like, poke fun of it. So it's just like,
Yeah.
you know, it's
I mean,
like the only the, you know, mine would be like only the, you know, the top 3 quarterbacks always make it, you know, like are going to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there
like,
you go.
No, like that's not happening. Like that doesn't happen. You know, it's this
Right.
year alone proved it. I mean, yes, Patrick Mahomes was the MVP caliber season. He won it. That if you were to follow that tunnel, it would look as though that it was scripted because they were the underdogs. I mean, it's a great story, right? Everyone up here in the Midwest was Eagles, Eagles, Eagles. Myself, I even said Eagles had the better team. That's for sure. On paper, they had the better team. But when you have an athlete like Patrick Mahomes, he can always do something, right? So the scripted aspect is, you know, I don't believe it, and I don't think any.
You can't script the game of football.
Yeah, playing football, like I wish things were scripted at times, just so I could, you know exactly what the outcome's going to be, and da da da. But no, I think that's just he's trying to get himself into the podcast world or something like that. I don't know, or be relevant.
Yeah, he's trolling.
Yeah,
he's trolling for sure.
Yeah, as they would say.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But I thought his commitment to it was pretty good because he really
Did he sell it?
He said it with a straight face.
Sell it?
Oh, he sold it. He did. And just like WWE, man, like he was explaining it. It's all planned out. They all get their notification about what it is going into the season.
Oh my god!
All of that. He said it with a straight face, and that's why I'm like, dang man, what a troll. Because again, like if you've played the game of football, like there's just no way to script the game of football, man. It just you can't do it.
And to answer your question, my thing is like injuries. Like you can't script injuries,
Right.
bro.
Right.
When that ACL tears, that ain't scripted, bro. When that
you couldn't do that if you wanted to script it like that. It's
exactly. And who got somebody got injured? Didn't somebody get injured in the Super Bowl? That was like that wasn't too big. Well, Patrick Mahomes' ankle in the playoffs. He
came out for a little bit.
They couldn't script that.
But that was it.
You know what I mean? Like when they played the Jaguars, they couldn't script that. You know what I mean? Like there's no way. Like so the injuries for sure.
Competitors wouldn't agree to that shit.
No, hell no.
Like, come on, man. Like, you get a script that hey, G Fox, all right, man, we're gonna have a good season, but that game 8, man, that ACL is gone.
Hell no.
You'd be like, the hell it is.
Hell
doing that?
No. Definitely not. Definitely not.
There's no way. There's no way. No, that's why I had so much fun with that when I first heard it. I was like, oh my goodness. I can't believe he's really like committing to this thing, but he
That's
is.
That's funny.
I
mean, he was stuck in Houston for a long time, so I can feel how he thought things were scripted. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like,
Houston's been a weird place for a while, man. Bill O'Brien really messed that place up.
And
he really messed that place up.
I mean, I've heard some stories with like J.J. Watt being down there. Man, that place is different breed down there in terms of how they ran their business. But I mean, it is what it is. I guess.
We might have to have Garrie Fox back on for story time. I believe you probably do get some inside stories through some former Badgers, man.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but yeah, I mean, they're changing up the script down there, but I think that's where he's coming from. Foster, that is just his experiences dealing with. I mean, what I remember that one year, dude was everyone's number one. What is it called? Fantasy draft. Running back, he was all pro, so his he had a high ceiling, but I guess he never attained the end all be all. So maybe just a little sour that it never came. The script never got passed to him in essence.
He got a shitty script, man. He didn't like that.
He's like, man, forget this script.
That's true, man. You have a salty experience. You never know what you're gonna blame it on.
Exactly.
But. No, hopefully they're turning it around down there because the Texans, man, they're for a while looked like they
Yeah.
were kind of knocking on the door. You know, J.J. Watt, DeAndre Hopkins, like they were really putting together a team and just couldn't get over the hump. That I don't know, man. That's something that should be studied, I guess, if you're interested in running an organization. But you've seen it over the years, man. Bad organizations are bad organizations. The Washington team, how much talent has gone to Washington to die?
Exactly.
I mean, it's a pit, man. Even Chase Young, like, how can you ruin Chase Young?
Right.
That guy's average.
Right.
He hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
And that's just like he was as talented as it gets coming out of the draft, man. He's a beast.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
He's one of those that'll be interesting, like when he comes out of his rookie deal and gets a shot at another team.
Yeah, I know he's coming up. Yeah, he came. He tore his ACL last year, so he didn't really have a chance this year. But yeah, that fourth year, he's going to be and if he starts ramping it up, getting like 10, 12 sacks a year or something like that, he'll be looking hot.
He should be
hot, and I mean, I was trying to think while you were mentioning that, like what other organizations kind of been like. The Texans and the Redskins.
Oh man, the Browns. The Browns. Oh my god.
They were teetering there for a second, where we were like, okay, they look.
Yeah, and then they had the best quarterback they've had in 30 years, and then they decided to kick him out of town.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I get it that Baker wasn't, a Hall of Fame quarterback or MVP quarterback, but it's pretty easy to say the best quarterback they've had in that long. Everybody's seen the jersey, right, with the number.
Yep.
It's like 20 quarterbacks on the back. And you got the guy, and then you kick him out of town, and then you go off and get Deshaun Watson, which is just a wild situation.
Right.
You don't know what his
we don't know
his criminal situation is, but it doesn't look good. And then you pay him record amounts of money, and you don't even know if you're going to see him on the field.
Yeah.
What? How do they? What? Jeez, man. That organization to me, is the most confusing. They're just not good. Not good at all.
I mean,
but
I'm not trying to like shit on Miguel, but the Bears are another one for me, bro. Not gonna lie. I'm not trying to shit on.
They've been bad.
But they've been
bad
for a while. Like the quarterback situation, the head coaching situations, the kicking situation. There's a lot of things, like organizationally, all the way down to the players, that's just been like not well run. I don't know if they're just trying to get out of Soldier Field. I mean, so I wish Miguel was on here so we could talk about it. He could have some information. But I mean that I went to the Notre Dame Badger game last year at Soldier Field.
Oh yeah,
that is not a great stadium.
No, nobody likes that stadium.
Yeah,
I mean, the location of it. I've never been in the stadium. Don't know what it's like inside.
Don't go, bro. I'm just telling you. I'm Miguel. I know you're probably like, what the hell is this guy doing, bro? But I'm just saying, I witnessed it, so I was like, whoa. But that, like, when we're talking about these organizations, that's another one that's top of mind. Like, I'm just going through all the conferences, and I'm like, no, they figured it out. Because the Rams were like that for a
Detroit.
while. Yeah, Detroit. They're figuring it out. They got a coach, right? They got the coach that might be a recipe for better success. I'm just going through like all these teams that used to be like in the dumps, like the Cardinals used to be way back in the day, but they had Kurt
like
Warner,
the Denny Green days.
Exactly, Denny Green is exactly what I was thinking about. But like they figured it out with like Warner and Fitzgerald that a few years.
Yeah.
So they've kind of figured it out. I'm just thinking like New Orleans obviously figured it out from their Drew Brees days, and then they got the first Super Bowl on their belt back in the early 2000s. But like, there's those few organizations that are still on that same train.
The Jaguars.
No,
they're
figuring it out. I was gonna say while you were talking,
they're figuring it out now.
When you're talking about the Texans and the AFC South, I was like, the Jaguars are figuring it out. They're gonna have a good team for a very long time. Especially if they keep...
But it's taken a long time to get here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I'm saying, they finally committed to this head coach, this quarterback pairing. We're going to do this. We have all the talent because we just need a coach and an organization to, provide for this talent, right? Because they used to... Remember all the receivers that used to go through there? Coming out of college, they used to have some of the coldest receivers. Like, I'm like, oh my God. So it's like they've had the talent. It's just like they haven't had the one guy running the show from a head coach perspective or quarterback. So I
Right.
think they'll be good in the AFC South. I think they'll run at for a while here, for sure, unless the Colts figure something out. Rooting for them because
That's another
they got
one,
JT,
man.
man. They got JT.
Oh yeah.
I don't
No,
want
love me some JT right there.
Where did
but the Colts are another one that they've been
Yeah.
kind of Jim Irsay's
yeah,
not the greatest
the owner,
dude.
yeah,
Like,
the owner, bro, yeah, no,
yeah,
that guy.
it doesn't seem like a great organization. Like it seems like people aren't exactly happy about working there sometimes.
Andrew Luck did a bogus though, bro. He did a
That
bogus.
was tough, man. Like that. Oof. You got to respect a guy's decision, I
Right,
suppose.
for
but,
sure.
man. Like give your organization some time,
Like
dude. Like
you
if
get
you're
nothing for
feeling
that.
way. Yeah, that's tough because they put their whole franchise into you,
As
man.
they should have. They should, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to at that point. I mean, he's a generational talent, and but at the same time, if they protect him better and do better by him, does he retire?
Right.
I mean, that's where I look again back at the Lions. Like, man, the Lions have had some of the best players in history and not gotten anything to show for it.
Yep.
So some of these organizations now. I think Miguel, if he was here, would probably agree with most of what you said. Miguel, you got to get in the comments. I know you're going to listen to this episode. Get in the comments, man. But I think you would agree with most of what you said. And I'll say, I think that they have made a bit of a turn as an organization, the Bears being. They seem like Poles seems like a pretty sharp dude that knows how to maneuver as a GM, and we'll see. This will be a really pivotal offseason for him with all the cap space that they have. Historically, they've definitely underperformed. I mean, when you remember when they traded for Jay Cutler and Craig Smith was all pumped, man. They thought that Jay Cutler was coming into town and they were going to run this show for the next 10 years and 2-3 Super Bowls, whatever it was going to be, and just found a way to fall flat.
Yep.
And I don't know how you have that, but then you have organizations like the Packers or the Steelers or the 49ers, or just these organizations that year in, year out, they may not be in the Super Bowl every year, but they're 10-6 knocking on the door of the playoffs every stinking year. And you can look at all sorts of different factors, coaches and players, but I think it has to have more to do with the people upstairs at that point when you have that much consistency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I agree. I mean,
but
because don't the Bears have the number 1 overall draft pick? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to capitalize on that.
I'm just sitting here rooting for him to screw it up.
Hey, that's the rival talking. That's the rival talking, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a Rivals podcast, man. I'm not rooting for him to land a good player there. I mean, they had the number 2 overall pick and went and got Mitchell Trubisky with that one. So let's get another Mitchell Trubisky level pick if we can out of this 1 overall.
Yeah, they're really the drafts. They get the high drafts aren't like great picks for like quarterback play because there's no really big Trevor Lawrence type generational quarterbacks in this draft, unfortunately. I mean, but
you've got Justin Fields, who,
right?
If you compare him to what's coming out, there's no quarterback where you're saying I want more than Justin Fields,
right? Like you either get capital for that pick, trade down, get some picks, get some capital, or you go all in on a Will Anderson, a DN, some impactful athlete that can just wreak havoc. Yep. So yeah, they're a tough bind there, especially with that.
Oh yeah, big decision, man.
Yeah,
you don't want to get that one wrong. Because I mean, last time, dude, hindsight's 20/20, and that's fun. But when you go off and you draft Mitch Trubisky when you could have drafted Pat Mahomes,
right?
Boy,
that's where it hurts.
Look good.
That's where it hurts. That's where it hurts.
It stings a little bit.
Yeah,
counts. Somebody's counting an L for that one. But, yeah, man, I think Miguel will be agreeing with a lot of this stuff. I know he's rooting for a trade.
Right.
Like he wants to see that draft capital come in.
Yeah.
I think I'd be rooting for the same thing.
Yeah.
And, the other thing, you got to look at, like, historicals, man. Like, Ohio State and Alabama, as good as they are as programs, their quarterbacks don't do a lot in the NFL.
Right, no.
You know?
Definitely
And, I mean, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, both look great in the college game. Are they breaking the mold, right? Are they going to be the exception to the historical rule? I don't know. I do actually want to ask you that, though, because there's one specific example that always rings out to me, and I'm like, man, G Fox just got this. He's got this eye, man. Like he can tell who's going into the NFL and going to do something and who's not. I remember when we were in one of our last semesters at Oshkosh, and we were arguing about Monty Ball. And you were like, man, he's not going to do anything in the league. And we were all getting after you because this is when he was rushing for however many touchdowns he was going for and just running all over Nebraska in the Big Ten championship game. And we were just pouncing on you, dude. And you were right. He didn't do any – well, I mean, he did a little bit in the NFL. But he certainly didn't have, what it looked like, in college he could have done. So, what do you think, man? You think, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, do you think they got what it takes in the NFL?
No, I don't.
No?
To answer your question quick, no. So the reason why I always look at these talented guys, yes, they're talented. I always see where they came from. Even I always go back to high school, where they came from, the talent they played, and then they were high recruit, what talent they played with that also make them look good. When you see these guys like who can I compare it to? Even Aaron Rodgers, coming from a JUCO, he played with not the best talent, not all the 5 stars out there that if he made an errant throw, they're going to pick him up and make it look like a 25-yard gain, right? That was the same thing with Monty Ball. If he picked the wrong hole, the other hole was so big because the offensive line was so dominant at the Badgers at that time. Right. It was it made him look good even though he had the wrong read. They were already on to the second level. The offensive guard was already blocking the linebacker, and the linebacker was also running into the free safety, so that's why it's a 15-yard gain, right, without being touched. So those are things I look at, and that's kind of what I see from Bryce Young coming from California to Alabama. The talent he played against was, California football is decent, but he's not playing in Texas. He's not playing in Florida against the best high schoolers. I mean, I might be aged out of this, I don't know, but I keep my eye on things from a high school perspective here and there, especially with football. And then C.J. Stroud, like you said, it's just they're not recipes for success in the NFL Ohio State tree, quarterback wise. It's just they're not, and he looks like another J.T. Barrett, Justin Fields replica, and that's what they use for success at Ohio State, right? But there hasn't been anything.
It works.
Yeah, it works. I can't knock Ohio State for keep doing it, even though I hate playing Ohio State and we need to beat them, right? From a Badger perspective. But, in the NFL, it just doesn't correlate to the systems that these offensive coordinators are running. Yeah, it might change. But, let's look at, the Kyle Murrays of the world. Even that. I don't, he's well paid, but is he going to be successful running after he ran that system for so long? This new offensive coordinator and new head coach they're getting, he's never received that before, right? He's always had that college mindset from his old offensive coordinator through Oklahoma all the way into his first few years of the league. So that's why I say no. I mean, I would love for these guys to surprise me. But just, from history standpoint.
Not rooting against
them.
Right,
no, definitely not. I'm not hating at all. I'm just saying, what I see. I mean, Bryce Young, I think, out of the two, I think he would have the more successful. I think he's more like the Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts being in the perfect position he was for the Super Bowl he'd have to land in the perfect position to be that, dual threat, but have such a great offensive line with such a great defense that he doesn't have to score umpteen times a game, or such a good running game that he's part of. I think Bryce Young could be the most successful out of the two from a quarterback perspective coming out.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's just waiting for the following year's draft for quarterback play with Caleb Williams and then also the quarterback from UNC. So we'll see what they do this year, next year, but I think there's a drop in NFL caliber talent from a quarterback perspective this year.
Well, now, man, I got to use this as a little bit of a transition on you, and I know we're a little bit late in this podcast, but we got to dive into your particular fandom here in Badger football, and I think that's a good place to hit it because there's a certain quarterback in Madison now that paired with a certain offensive coordinator. Man, he might run up some draft boards without people seeing him coming. I mean, when we think about this Badger team coming together, we got four new quarterbacks in that quarterback room. One of them's coming in from SMU, looking all sorts of ready to tear up the Big Ten. Could go into the draft after getting some coaching from Phil Longo. Man, it looks good there in Madison. What's your Badger take, sir?
Oh.
Let's get a little flavor. Give me some Garrie Fox realistic perspectives. I know you're gonna bring the real to it, but you gotta be kind of pumped about what's going on here in Madison.
Yeah, it's the end of an era for sure. An era that I grew up on. Hard nosed running the ball system. Just Badger football. I can't explain. We all know Badger football is how it's always been, football. Right? I think as long as we keep that at its core from an offensive perspective, get the big dudes and the interior on the offensive line, but expand on the athletic standpoint on the D line on out. And then also, as you said, with these transfers and these quarterback play, because obviously Badger quarterback play has never been our bread and butter. It's always been our running backs, right? And our offensive line from an offensive standpoint. So we got the running back, right? Braylon Allen. We talked about Bijan Robinson. That was my other guy that I had for Doak Walker of the Year, Braylon Allen. That wasn't biased. That was truly the man. The kid's talented. The kid has talent. He's a beast. I don't even think he scratched the surface. He can get much better in his pass pro and protecting the quarterback on pass plays, as well as even third down and coming out of the backfield, getting some passes, catching passes. But where we can get elite is from the recruiting standpoint, and that's what I'm excited about. That's your boy Luke Fickell will be bringing to us, and he's showing with the transfer, the transfer life. But I think, getting those athletes where we need them, secondary, the receiving core, just getting up to par with all the other talent that's not only in the Big Ten but nationwide, SEC, Pac-12, is where we kind of got to capitalize, and we've dipped down the past few years. So if all that kind of works itself out in the next year and a half, two, then I'll definitely jump on the wagon. But all this, quarterback transfers, wide receiver from USC transfers, DB transfers, has all looked good. But I keep telling all the Badger fans, me being one of them, we haven't solidified the interior D line from a transfer standpoint. Our best D lineman is going to be going maybe first, second round this year. So we lost that. We don't have anything coming back. And the transfer portal hasn't came to fruition there. Offensive linemen, I know we lost a few. Longo did bring a few, I think, from UNC. He did, yeah. But if you don't solidify those two things, then you can have the best athletes, but if you can't protect them or you can't get to the quarterback, and the DBs are left on an island, doesn't matter, right? Nobody can recover somebody for 5-6 seconds. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant right now to jump on the whole bandwagon of the new era, because there's some holes. There's some holes. Yeah. And I think if we don't fill those within this off season, or within next recruiting period or next transfer period, I think it'll be hard. The thing that I like though, and I've always because the Badger offense has never been a high-flying, high-scoring thing that we're used to here. We're just used to, methodic drives and scoring when we do after those methodic drives. So it's never like a 50-point game. It's always in the 20s or the teens, right? Is Fickell being a defensive mind. That's what I like, because we've been super lucky with Jimmy Leonard the past umpteen years. I can't even remember,
Oh,
right?
man.
The last time he came in after Aranda, right?
Well, in Aranda too.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, he was just a brilliant
Right.
defensive mind too.
So that's nice because I love when our defense is able to tee something up, especially with these college quarterbacks that aren't aware of what an exotic type blitz looked like on 3rd and 7, and they get
Exactly.
sacked. That's a big momentum swing. So I'm glad that he's a defensive mind coach, and that he'll bring some nuances there, and then also has the fight in the recruiting field with all the talent that's out there and the transfers that are out
Yeah.
there. So that's where we've dipped in the past few years. Obviously, we all know the stories. Badger faithful do of our lack of recruiting,
Oh, yeah.
our lack of recruiting that we are subpar. But yeah, as long as we keep that semi DNA and not try to fully change it, we got to keep the big guys in the trenches, man. That's where we're successful, and that's why people want to come here and that's Badger football, especially on the offensive side. But if we can change that on the defensive line, be more elite, and get the big dogs and the athletic dogs from the South or wherever they get them in the SEC,
Wherever they're at, man.
because they be replenishing them down in SEC world, man. But
Oh, man.
that's my 2 cents on the Badgers. I mean, I'm excited, right? But I'm also
Yeah.
realistic that the holes are there. But I know you got something. I know you're an optimist. I know you are big on the Fickell train. I don't know what you guys call it.
Big Fick
yeah,
energy.
that's what I heard you guys be calling.
Let's go.
Hey,
Getting that hashtag ready, man.
Hey.
It's gonna be fun. We're gonna be running that out. Big Fick energy from day one, man.
Hey.
My thing and my optimism, and you and I look at things a lot differently, but I look at what he's been able to do, and granted, until he basically became the Badgers coach, my opinion was you have to retain Jamie Leonard. Like, Jimmy Leonard's the guy.
Right.
Like, when they made him interim head coach, I was like, no, that's his job. His job. He's got the job. Write it down. And I really believe that he, I mean, between his defensive genius
Yes.
that he is, he's a younger guy still relatively in the coaching world, and I thought he was a really good guy for connecting with some of these kids now in the NIL era and all that. But now that we're seeing Fick come in, man, it's so I kind of guess compare this, and you said something that resonated. As Badger fans growing up in the era that we have, there's been not a lot of change, right? Like, it was Alvarez for a long time, and then it was Bielema for a long time. And then we got Gary Anderson, and that was a weird experiment. Didn't last very long, but he started trying to recruit different ways and stopped getting these in-state guys. And kind of what you're saying, like, he stopped getting the big dudes. He stopped building through the lines. He started trying to recruit guys out of Florida and stuff and getting some of the, like, 3-star guys out of there. But it just didn't go well. And then you get, the course correction with Paul Christ. And at that point, I'm kind of thinking, like, man, I guess this is just sort of the life of a Badger fan. Like, you're never going to be that Ohio State. You're always just going to be that kind of like tier 2 almost, that B-level team that, on your good year, you might have, you might win a Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
But that's about it. And then you get Fickell coming in here where it's like, dang, man, all of a sudden you can feel this energy that people want to be a Badger.
Yeah.
And it's like before there was a certain type of player and a certain group of people that really wanted to be a Badger. Now it's like, dang, you got, like you're saying, you got guys coming from USC, Oklahoma State.
Right.
You're bringing in one of the most sought after offensive coordinators in the country. All of this just whirlwind of stuff, and then you've got these quarterbacks coming in, and you've got more quarterback talent in one room now than you've collectively had in your history. It feels like. So I love all of the energy. I look at all these things, and then, it's like, dang, he's bringing in all this new energy that we've never even thought was really a reality for Badger fans. But then I look at what he did for Cincinnati, and I think if I've got to like rank the two programs, Cincinnati and Wisconsin, I'm putting Wisconsin ahead of Cincinnati
Right.
10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Yet Cincinnati made it to the playoffs under Fickell. I'm like, dang, dude. Like, you took and nothing against Cincinnati, right? I mean, they got two, guys that were in the Super Bowl here. Good program. They put out some talent, but like, when you think about like what it takes to get to that playoff, I would absolutely think that the Badgers should be able to get there before Cincinnati would. So if you take this guy and you give him a program like the Badger, like a Wisconsin Badgers program, and the fundamentals that come along with that, like kind of what you're saying, that run, that pound the ball mentality, the big guys growing in the state, like Braylon Allen coming in. I mean, he wasn't even a running back really in high school, right? Wasn't he supposed to be like a DB? And then he started squatting 700 pounds.
Right. They're like, yeah, we might want to put you on give you the ball a little bit, right?
Do something with you, man. But
no, I mean,
so that's my excitement, man. Is it just seems like this energy is different on a level that we haven't gotten to experience as Badger fans yet.
I think like you said, like mixture of both is kind of what we need, but also be able to capitalize. Like the Ohio States, they always beat us. Why? Because third quarter, they's like, okay, we have better talent on the outside, right?
Yeah.
They all of a sudden just start throwing the ball
Right.
up to the receiver, and we have mediocre DBs. Like that's how they always beat us in their games or the Big Ten championship games where we've lost to them. So like if we're able to keep our core DNA as the Badgers, but also get better talent on the exterior to avoid that, then we'll be seeing ourselves in the playoff games, especially with the college football playoffs possibly expanding, right? So we even get a better shot at it. And then even if we lose or stumble along the path, we can still get in there some way somehow and still hey, Fickell's gotten us to the college football playoffs. Like back in the day, you used to be like, all right, consecutive Rose Bowls that was like the Big Ten championship game, like before there were conference championship games. It was Rose Bowl. All right, these guys got us to the Rose Bowl, Rose Bowl, Rose Bowl. So like that's kind of where you got to meet us at and expectations are at, I guess you could say. So hopefully it comes to fruition, but I need to see it on the field versus on paper. That's when I can really make my judgment call on all this Fickell energy, I call it. Y'all already got nicknames for the man. He's barely coached a game.
We're ready, man. We're thirsty for some new hope, man.
Yeah.
We want to find some new energy, find some guys coming in. But yeah, I mean, when you see, and again, like I'm down here in Texas, right, just up the street from TCU, and obviously UT's down there, and you got OU up north, and there's a lot of programs around here. When you see guys that are leaving USC and leaving Oklahoma State and going to Wisconsin, man, like that's just different.
Right.
That's just something that we never saw before. And, these players, like you're saying, like you and I are kind of aged out of certain things, but these players are tuned in with who's doing what and who they want to play for. And to me, it seems foreign to think like, dang, like we've got like one of the most sought after coaches in the entire country right now. Like the players all over want to go to this guy because he's that good. And it's not Fick. I'm talking about Longo, right? And so dude, it's just you don't get to see anything on the field yet, right? We haven't gotten a chance to see any of that. We will hopefully see some signs in spring ball. But, just seeing guys leave these other programs that are historically, like Oklahoma State, historically is churning out like top level receivers, man, like Des Bryant, and a lot of those guys that came out of there. So to see a guy come out of there and want to come and be a Badger, dude, like that is so exciting to me. And you're exactly right. Like one of the thoughts that I have about matching up against Ohio State is when we're going up against Ohio State, and I think this was like maybe 2011, and your best receiver is Jared Abbrederis,
right?
And he had a great career for a Badger, and he had that story of being a walk-on and all that. But at the end of the day, it's Jared Abbrederis, man. That's not these Chris Olave or these other guys that are coming out of Ohio State, like
exactly.
Yeah, man, like the caliber of receiver that those guys are churning out year in and year out just never shows up in Madison. And now I'm like, now we got some guys out there, you know, in a CJ Williams and Bryson Green and all that. So I'm interested to see how it goes, and really I think what I'm watching is that 24 class, man, because you know he started it with the quarterback. Exactly. I think he since has gotten a couple others maybe, but like that's the class. Like, all right, if Fickell's bringing in a bunch of dudes, like show me a difference in that class. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's got a strong start on all that stuff. Hopefully the first season goes well so that he can capitalize on all this recruiting effort, because we already know that the kids want to go somewhere that's successful, that's a successful program, that's winning, right?
Oh, yeah.
Badgers have always been a successful program, but we want to turn that into a winning championship program more often than not. So, if he does that, then I'll be 100% send on the Fickell train, because once I'm committed as a Badger fan, I'm committed. And even like with my guy Graham Mertz, I was committed. I never faltered. Even though he transferred, that's fine, man. I saw some potential, but he chose to go elsewhere, which is fine. He's allowed to, but you know, once I'm committed to you as a Badger fan, I'm committed to you. So.
Hey, Graham Mertz, he looked like he had it all. I feel like maybe, I don't know. With him, I feel like he needed more coaching than he was able to get, as far as taking his level of talent and expanding it. Kind of like with Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore. Like, if you got this guy who's uber talented, like you need to like really harness that, man. You can't just do that with anybody. You can't just like slap a tight ends coach as the quarterback's coach and get him down the road.
Yeah. I mean,
but you know,
back to that real quick. Is Dak Prescott that talented though?
Oh, here we go.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's the debate.
I've been saying that. I've been saying this for years, even when he started as a rookie. Like, the man is not that arm talent wise. That talent, he's not elite speed wise. He's not elite decision making wise. Like, I'm just like I said, I'm a realist Cowboy fan. He's not winning the games when he needs to win the games, when it's all on him to win the games, or he wants it to be on him to win the games. Like, is he that talented though? Like,
so what I saw in Prescott early on is, and this may not be the case anymore. This might actually be gone now. But he had this poise about him. You know, he had kind of like this leadership. You know, like I'm the guy that'll keep everybody sort of chill and level-headed in these pressure moments. I don't feel like he has that anymore. I feel like he's kind of panicky, and that was really how he seemed through. You know, when it came down to it this season in the playoffs, he didn't seem focused. Like, one of the examples I use about Aaron Rodgers, you know how like they always get those good camera angles, and sometimes you see them rolling out, and you can see their face, you know, while they're rolling out and like trying to find the guy they're going to hit. Some guys, when they're doing that, you see their face, and they're like, eyes are all open, like, their mouths open, like, you know, you just look like you're just like freaking out. But Aaron Rodgers is always stone-faced. He looks, when he's in that situation, he looks like he's just sort of like playing poker or something, just sitting at a table chilling. All right, I'm gonna make a throw. And I feel like if you have that as a quarterback, man, like that is a cheat code.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because being able to make those decisions in that pressure split-second moment, that's tough stuff. And I don't know if Dak has that.
But it's something you either have it or you don't. There's no in between with that. Like Aaron Rodgers, like he has it. Like all the greats have had it. Like, but Dak is always like, he's had those injuries, so he's missed a lot of games, right? So that's the excuse in essence. But there's been a lot of game-winning drives where he has not won the game. Right. And there's more than... that's where it comes down to. That's where the difference is on levels, right? Yeah. Like, it's just... for me, I'm just like, I don't think he's the guy. To be honest, like, he's not...
But it's too late, man. Jerry already decided he's the guy.
Yeah, but Jerry's it'll show at some point. It'll show like he's just not the guy. Like, I mean, the Walter Payton.
I think it already did this season.
The Walter Payton Award
honest.
is a great award, right? You're doing a bunch of stuff out the field, and I'm not going to knock that by any means, right?
No.
But as a true fan, as a real NFL championship wanting to be fan, like, I don't want my quarterback to be the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Like, I'm not
I love that, man.
like not talking down to the award at all, but I'm just talking like to the true.
I
like,
get it though, man.
Like, I want him to be the MVP, right? The MVP.
Yes.
Not just because Mahomes just
You want him to be Kobe, man.
Right.
You want him in the gym.
I want him just mamba'd out all day.
Yes.
Locked in 24/7. Like, yeah, give back to the kids, and his cause that he was doing was great. That he got the award for him.
Absolutely.
But there comes a time in your career where you have to put all that aside and say, I am going to do this. And I am going to put all my effort into this. And nobody can tell me no. And I'm my worst critic. I'm my worst enemy. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. And if he doesn't have that, then he's not the guy. And I don't know. I just don't see that in him. I don't think he has that in him. He doesn't have that Mamba in him. No, he does not have that Kobe in him. I think
it's easy to say he doesn't have that Mamba.
No, but I'm saying like I said before with these other guys that we talked about, like the C.J. Stroud and the Bryce Young. Like, I looked at these guys before their collegiate careers. He was at Mississippi State, right? Dak Prescott. Mm-hmm. He had that. Mm-hmm. He had him at number 1 for that few weeks, right? Remember?
That's right.
But what happened after that? Shit the bed. Yep. Got to the top, shit the bed. So it's like a reoccurring theme that a lot of people don't go back to. They just remember, this is the guy that took over as the quarterback because of Tony Romo was gone, da-da-da. You know, we got a quarterback. We got the guy, right? But is he really the guy to get you there, right? So that's where I come from when it comes to... I mean, Dak Prescott's never been my favorite Cowboy. So that's just me being biased, I guess, in essence. Like, I was always like a Zeke Elliott fan, Des Bryant fan from the get-go. Like, those are my guys. Like, those are guys that I know, like, are elite talents. Like, they're the elitist of the elite in their certain group or their sport. Their position group. Yeah. So it's like... Yeah. But when you put Dak in his position group, it's like, I'm picking there's so many other talents out there, right? Yeah. That's what you got to say to yourself.
Yeah, he's...
Like, is he tier 3? Is he tier 2? Sure ain't tier 1.
He might be on the bubble of tier 3. Yeah, he's not tier 1. No. He's not a tier 1 quarterback.
Like, he's not Joe Burrow, bro. Like, Burrow is... No. Oh, bro. But... That's for a different day. Like, I'm saying, like, there's levels to this, right? And we just got to be real about it sometimes. Like, unfortunately.
Well, and so that's where I think that we get a little caught up in our feelings as fans, and I think even GMs do. They
commit, yeah.
They bring the feels into it, you know, especially Jerry Jones. He admits it, I think.
Yes.
But I asked one of my other buddies, shout out to Austin. He we did an episode that I haven't published yet, and I'm going to. But he's also a Cowboys fan. And I asked him, I said, you know, if you're GM, are you trading Des Bryant? And he would never give me an answer on that because his answer is, I never would have given him an extension or re-signed him. And he just kept, you wouldn't go beyond that. I'm like, all right, but here we are, present day. Are you going to trade Dak Prescott? I think I would. Oh, yeah. I think there's enough desperate GMs out there that would give you more than Dak Prescott's worth. And I think I'd trade him. You know, take a shot at one of these other guys coming out, like the kid coming out of Florida or Kentucky. Though, you know, you talk about guys that,
or even the dude from Tennessee. He's looking good.
Yeah, Tennessee.
He tore his ACL, but yeah, for sure.
But still, I mean, like, to your point of, like, did they play with all 5-star talent? Did they overcome adversity? Did they, you know, beat teams, whatever it is? Guys like Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming.
Right.
Was it Wyoming?
Yep.
I think it was Wyoming.
You're right. Yep.
You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, like that guy, he didn't play with 5-star
Exactly.
talent. He didn't play against great talent, but like when you analyze him as a player and you look at what he did with nobody around him, you're like, sheesh.
Yes.
You know, there's no question. And I think that there's definitely a few of those guys coming out behind your Bryce Young and CJ Stroud that are worthwhile, you know, to kind of watch here. And that kid at Kentucky, what's harder than playing at the bottom of the SEC, man?
Right.
You're just getting your teeth kicked in every week.
Well, he played at Penn State. He transferred from Penn State. You know that?
Oh,
yeah.
he was. Oh, okay.
He was at
I didn't
Penn
realize
State.
he was at Penn State first.
Yep. So yeah, he's been the two best conferences for sure and played ball. So yeah, he's a good athlete for sure. He's like another what's his name, Allen type dude, Josh Allen, like athletically will take off with his legs, but also has that arm talent. But yeah, I know, no man, like Dak, man, I'm sorry, bro. Like you ain't gonna take us to the promised land, bro. I'm just real about it, man. Like you haven't given me anything to provide, right? Like to say yes, you can do it. Like even the Packer game, like I don't know if you knew, like you know this, like I went to the game, right? I was at Lambeau, right?
Right.
And he threw those interceptions. I'm like, bro, this is a consistent thing.
Yeah.
People are saying this the Niners game. No, this happened at the same thing happened at the Packer game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, wait, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
What's the deal though? Why are they able to win with what's his name, the backup?
Cooper Rush.
What's his, I can't remember. Cooper Rush.
And Rush we trust
so well with Cooper Rush
because he was just getting his playmakers the ball, just bing bing, bow bow, quick, get it out.
Okay.
He doesn't have to hold on to it. He always, like you've seen a couple of the games. You get them down there by you. Yeah. They're always on. They're like Packer games up here, always on.
Oh yeah. I get them. I get them.
Whenever Dak Prescott pats twice, it's recipe for disaster. If he's one pat, then it's good. No pats, great. But if he's 1, 2, it's like, oh God, what is he about to force?
See, we're getting some real content.
What is he about to force?
There's not many people who even like understand what you just said.
I know, right?
You know what I mean? Like, most people are watching this and they're like, man, Dak Prescott holds on to the ball too long. Gary's like, no, he pats once, he's good. Yeah. You pat twice, he's in trouble. Yeah. And that,
you know, he's forcing it.
You know exactly what you're saying in that. Like that, it's if he's patting twice, he's paying right here. Like if he pats once, he knows where he's going, and he's going.
Yeah,
he's made that decision. He's going to execute. Yeah. I'm right there with
it's
you,
just
man.
like
that's funny
because the 2 times he threw those interceptions at the Packer games, I'm like, and he's forcing it to Schultz down the middle. He just, I don't know, that's his like safety net or something, but he always tries to force it to Schultz down the middle out of his third progression. It's just like, bro, like that. You just take off. You're talented enough to take off. So just take off. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I think that's the thing that I'm interested in after this offseason. If you have someone other than Kellen Moore guiding you, I think you have a more comfortable Dak Prescott.
Right.
Like, I remember when Tom Brady, people, it was probably like 2017, people started questioning, is he losing it? And all of that. And Tom Brady's response was, why would I retire now? I've got all the answers to the test.
Right.
That's how Dak Prescott should be feeling.
Yeah.
But I think he's still studying for the test.
Right.
Like, I don't think he feels like he has all the answers. And you can't, like, this, right? If you're thinking while you're playing, you're in trouble.
Super.
You have to be
just doing
reacting.
Yes.
You have to be moving. Just doing it, exactly. And you see quarterbacks going through that kind of growth and progression in the league. You come in those first couple years, you can win on raw talent, right? Like we saw like Mike Vick running around, and he admitted he didn't even study the playbook. Right. And then you see Mahomes come in, and he's doing all sorts of just savvy things, and then he stumbles a little bit, and now he's playing chess. Yep. And now he's like next level dangerous because he's got that raw talent with this comfortable mentality back there. The game truly slows down for him. Dak Prescott never got to that point. Like he can play with his raw talent.
Yep.
But he never got to the point where he was winning the game of chess
Nope.
against the defensive coordinator.
Definitely not.
And that's like, hopefully Schottenheimer can do that for him, but you got to wonder is a little too
Right.
late in the career.
Yeah.
Like how, like, I don't know, like how late can you resurrect that?
Right.
I don't know.
Yep. Or is there not enough talent around him to take advantage of it, right? Because, like, they've invested so much money to him and other Zeke and da-da-da. They haven't even paid CeeDee
Right.
Lamb yet, and they're, of course, going to keep him, right? So it's like...
Well, of course.
Yeah, like, so it's... And they're going to lose Schultz, probably. He's probably going to be a free agent because they franchised him last year. So it's like his weapons are going to depreciate. So it's time for him to step up and say, okay, whatever you put in front of me, I can utilize because
Exactly.
I know what to expect with this type of defense. That's like you said, playing chess or this type of defensive coordinator. I got these options ready to go. So, no, I mean, if he proves me wrong, hey, I'll be loving it because I'll be reaping the benefits of it. So, hey,
Exactly.
nothing wrong with that. But to be realistic about it, he just hasn't proven it, and the proof is in the pudding, as they would say. So,
Absolutely.
prove me wrong, big fella.
No, I think that, after the Cooper Rush stretch, there's definitely some questions on it, but Dak is getting that shot of like, all right, hey, look, man, we got rid of Kellen. We're going to bring somebody in who's, been in the league.
Yeah.
He can guide you a little bit. Let's see if that helps. Now, if you don't see a difference in Dak Prescott, like a better difference, like if he takes a step backwards, even worse. But if you don't see that difference in him this season, I think you have to eject. Man.
Yes.
Like you have trade something. You have to move on at that point
Yep.
because to your point, like he needs to be taking that step that Mahomes took, in my opinion, this season. Right? Mahomes before had Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
He had some like track speed in that offense with him, and then they lost a lot of that. They lost Byron Pringle. They lost Tyreek Hill.
Nicole Hartman didn't even
a lot
play
of
the
that
majority
speed.
of the season. His other track star that he had, he didn't play. Like,
Exactly.
and he still, like, with lesser talent that we would say on paper, he took advantage of it because he boom, boom, boom.
Got it
bing,
done.
bing,
He
bing,
knew.
bing.
He knew, and credit to Andy
Right.
Reid, who will go down as one of the greatest, and Eric Bieniemy, who will probably end up being a successful head coach here in the near future. Like they molded him the way that you would have wanted to see Dak Prescott molded. Now I don't know if that goes as well because
Right.
I don't think Dak Prescott's nearly as talented,
No. Yeah.
but. To that point, like as soon as you lose your Amari Cooper,
Yep.
right? You lose that guy,
Yep.
and now you need the quarterback to be the one going, look, this is how it is, and he's not there yet.
Bro.
And I think the Cowboys in that situation where you're looking at, Cooper Rush running this offense really well, and then Dak Prescott comes back and it just sort of stumbles, like. Maybe you can say, well, not maybe. You can say Cooper Rush is probably not as talented as Dak Prescott,
Right.
but if the offense runs better through him, why aren't you plugging him in?
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing. Like, look, I get it. Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time MVP, but from the limited sample we have, Jordan Love runs that offense really well.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers doesn't. And he's like open about it. He's like, fuck this offense.
He's like, I don't know, all on my arm. All on my shoulders.
Yeah, like I'm making these calls, dude.
Yeah.
So for me, like I'm with you. I don't think Dak's the guy. I think he's past that opportunity, and the Cowboys, the way this game is now, there's like a rhythm to how you have to be good, right? Like you have that rookie quarterback window, and then that's your chance to structure everything else the right way. And if you don't, you're screwed.
Yep.
So, like, when you dump all that money in your quarterback and then you've got $90 million in your running back, and then it's like, well, you look around, what do you have left?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
So
for doing that, the Cowboys do have pretty good talent, decent talent, left.
Yeah.
But you can't invest any more of what you have invested, like, to that. So...
Well, you can't invest in personalities like Jerry did.
Right.
I mean, I remember when he re-signed Zeke, and it was this weird feeling of like, well, like you can't pay a running back that much, but at the same time, you also can't just let Zeke walk.
Right.
it was weird, because Zeke's good. He was great. Like, now he's good. He's coming down a little bit, but it's still, though, again, like you look at the statistics of who's making what and winning a Super Bowl, man, like you're on the wrong end of that.
Yes.
Completely.
Yes.
So, but brother, we're 2 hours into this bad boy.
It's been a blast.
We probably got to check it in here.
It's been a blast, man.
Get to bed, and
we got
to have you back on.
We got to do 2 hours more. So yeah, anytime, man. Let me know.
We could.
It's cold up here, so it's best time to get me because I'm not out and about because we have a very short window of the year to be out and about. Thursdays, I'm usually getting a burger somewhere at a local establishment or something like that. But since I'm snowed in, 6 inches deep today, this is perfect. And yeah, man, it's been a blast. I mean, you and I could do this for hours on end. We did do this hours on end back in our days, so it's nothing new there.
No, I love it, man. I just love chopping it up, and we don't have to be experts or anything, but we got a little bit of football knowledge. And these days, the media, everybody who's talking about football in the big media, it's just a bunch of garbage, man. They don't talk about anything meaningful. So might as well bring it here. And, if anybody wants to tune into it, they can. Yes. But no, dude, I appreciate it, man. I love jumping in. And like you said, we could do this for hours, but I'd love to get you back on and like get Miguel in here, get a couple other guys maybe even, and really go after it. But we got a boring off season ahead, so we got plenty of time, man.
Yep, for sure. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you inviting me to your guys' podcast. It's the first time I've ever been on a podcast, so I appreciate the invite. And
hey, here we go.
Anytime you want, I can chop it up about sports anytime, man.
Love it. No, I appreciate it, man. And we're gonna have you back on. We're gonna do this again. And OGs, if you've been sticking around for 2 hours, God bless you. I am supremely grateful. And if you could just go ahead, because you have been around this long, spike that like button, hit us with a comment, let us know what got you going, what topic you like, argue with us a little bit. That's what football is about. And of course, you got to subscribe and talk about us at your next tailgate. But y'all, hey Garrie, if anybody wants to hit you up, follow you, whatever it is, should they check you out on Instagram? Where they find you?
Yeah. What is my handle on Instagram?
What do we got here, man?
Sorry, old man or something like that. No, I think check me out. Season Vet 11. That's my Instagram. That's all I got. That's all I use for social media. But everything sports related, I can chop it up like you guys do here on the podcast. So OG Rivals, appreciate it.
Let's go. All right, we're going to sign off. I'm just going to let them know. Go, Pack, go.
Oh my land.